Hello, everybody. Thank you and welcome to our part two video recorded training for Direct Admissions Minnesota for High Schools, Building the Data Part 2. This module is specifically for those of you utilizing the PowerSchool, Skyward, and Synergy student information systems at your high school. We here at the Office of Higher Education welcome you to this training today. My name is Aaron Salsek. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the coordinator of direct admissions leagues here at the agency.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sally Kreger Constantine, she, they pronouns, and I manage the data for the direct admissions program.
Welcome. So our agenda today is pretty straightforward. We have a quick project overview and background recap, followed by 5 steps of the academic review for those 3 student information systems, and then ending with some resources and our contact information should you have any questions. Again, as a quick program recap, the goal of this program is pretty straightforward, and it's encouraging all of our high school seniors to think of themselves as college material and college capable by offering them proactive direct admissions to our wonderful post-secondary partners across the state of Minnesota. This program seeks to reduce the anxiety and the angst that is often common and stressful in the college search process, and takes the mystery out of the will I get in question by leading with an affirming yes. It's designed to supplement, not supplant, your college exploration activities at your high schools. And as I've said, we have a ton of post-secondary partners participating in the program, including all of our 2-year community and technical colleges in the Minnesota state system, as well as the 7 state universities, 4 of our 5 University of Minnesota campuses, 2 of our tribal colleges here in the state of Minnesota, and then 16 of our private nonprofit colleges, or the majority of them in the Minnesota Private College Council. The 6 overarching steps that are conducted at the high school level include the review of a student's end of junior year unweighted GPA and course grades in 3 subject areas, English, math, and science, to place a student in one of 6 academic tiers of which colleges and universities have opted into, notifying those seniors and their parents or guardians of the acceptance, proactive extended offers of admission to these institutions, and then encouraging students to explore their top choices, prompting students to then respond to those survey notifications and choose their institutions of most interest, of which they'd like to be directly admitted to. Having that information sent to Office of Higher Education through the protocol we'll be discussing today. And then we in turn distribute that information of students' choice. At the high school level and by your local practice, sending those official transcripts to the colleges students select. And then, as always, providing us with collaborative and timely feedback so that we can get this program to its best possible version for our students and families across the state of Minnesota. And so for today, the focus is really on those first 4 steps of the academic review, the notification, the responding, and then on our end, the disbursement of that student data to post-secondary institutions participating in the program. And so the simplified version of the work plan, broken out by these summer months and early fall months, at this time, May and June, you could be sharing those direct admissions junior videos that we sent out, as well as the content in the marketing toolkit sent by newsletter. The number one focus at this time is having principals or superintendents, and in some instances, your budget managers, working on those data sharing agreements and joint powers agreements that were sent from the agency do need to be reviewed, completed, and sent back to us as necessary components to be able to participate in the program. And then lastly, for May and June at least, being able to familiarize yourselves with all of the awesome marketing materials and information that we've provided, including our many trainings on how the program is run, conducted, and operates at the outset of fall. For June through August, you can continue that research as you have time. You will also in July receive more information from us about being able to order and then share direct admissions promotional print materials in your high schools. And we have those translated into multiple languages. The ordering is done through our Bulger ordering system, and this was content covered in one of the earlier May trainings. And you can start to work on FERPA notifications, which are sent at the outset of the program in early fall once you return to the schools, to notify parents and students of their opportunity to opt out from the program. August through October 31st is really sending out those communications and survey notifications so that students can make their selections, and then continuing to remind students through marketing, nudging, and so on to respond to their survey notifications so we can distribute that information to colleges and universities of their top choice. And so the academic review, what we're talking about today, you can do a lot of the thought work all the way through October 1st. Again, this work has to be done, and those data sharing agreements and joint powers agreements are necessary components in order to move forward with the program. So make sure that that is also being done at this time. The survey notifications can be sent within those two holidays of Labor Day and Halloween. And we have lots of materials to help support you in this work, much of which we're actually going to cover today in this training. But there's templates, there's resources such as our Office of Higher Education agency website, and then the direct admissions sub-landing page on our primary agency website, as well as our toolkit, where we put all useful information, including things like social media resources to promote the program, those print materials that we've talked about, so on and so forth. The final resource, at least on this page, the YouTube channel, is a wonderful review opportunity where we post all of our trainings after they're conducted, and you can review those at your own pace as well. Between August and September, just as a reminder, we will have a refresher of this very training broken out by student information system. So please plan on attending that early in the fall for any updates that might have happened or transpired over the summer, of which we do not expect very many. I do have office hours that'll occur twice weekly in the fall. More information about that will be shared in one of the future newsletters. And then those newsletters that I just referenced are usually sent at the outset of every month for the program and have deliverables or expectations for the month to help in guiding your work, as well as resources that inform the work. All right, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Sally.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so again, my name is Sally Krieger-Constantine. I manage the data for direct admissions, and I'm going to go through the 5 steps of the academic review with you. Next slide, please. All right, so what are the 5 steps of the academic review? First, I do want to reiterate what Aaron said. You can start the academic review at any time after your JPA and DSA are completed. However, you cannot send out your surveys until your FERPA notifications have been sent out. So you can get a jump start on the program almost immediately with doing the academic review. So the first step is assessing which students are on track for graduation. This is usually done as a local process and reviewed by staff counselors. The second step is determining the final list of juniors who will be eligible for the academic review. Again, this is a local process done by staff review. There are a few situations when students aren't eligible for direct admissions, and that it needs to be done manually. The third step is determine the unweighted cumulative GPA. Most systems, in fact, I don't think we found one system yet that hasn't been able to download a unweighted report. So most SIS systems can download a report for you, and then you would need to review it. And then the fourth step is determining or assessing the course grade average for two groups of students, Tier 4 and Tier 6. The fifth step is assigning the academic tiers 1 through 6. This sounds like a lot, but we have developed several resources to help you complete these steps. Next slide, please. First, just a quick review of these academic tiers. We have academic tier 1 through 6. Academic tier 1 is students less than 2.5, and this includes all our open access schools, in-state colleges and universities. This is open to all of your students who are graduating. So at minimum, the students will be eligible for tier 1. As we go up, it's separated by grade point average, but of particular note is academic tiers 4 and 6. These both have an added qualifier. They require a C average or higher in all 3 course areas, math, science, and English for 10th and 11th grade. Now, to be clear, that means a C average in math, a C average in English, and a C average in science. It sounds like a lot, but honestly, most students, just a visual confirmation, do they have all C's? Do they have 2 C's and a B? It's very easy to do. Also, we have a spreadsheet that we will share in a minute that helps you do that portion. Next slide, please. So here is an example of what your student letter will look like. So utilizing our process of Google Sheets and Google Forms, you will send out a letter very similar to this that congratulates the student on graduating and participating in the program and offers them several schools to be directly admitted to. Next slide, please. All right, now we're going to talk about a specific pathway for schools that utilize PowerSchool, EduPoint Synergy, and Skyward. These schools will be utilizing a Google Drive system of sheets and forms to process their direct admissions. So the first step is to assess your students for on track for graduation. You're going to use your existing process to determine the students that are on track for graduation. So whatever process you have already created, that is what you are going to use. They may not be on track for graduation. If they are not, you have 2 options. If you summer school and they are going to catch up on their credits, you can consider them on track for graduation. Also, you can redo direct admissions at any time during the next academic year. So while we ask you to send out those initial letters between Labor Day and Halloween, you can send them first a week after Labor Day and then again at the end of September. You can send those out at any time. So if students catch up at the end of December, you can send them a letter. Next slide, please. The second step is to determine the list of students, the final list of students eligible for academic review. You need to remove some students from the list of eligible seniors, and that will be the task for you. That is the students, again, who are not on track for graduation, like we said in the last step. Students who have formal transition IEP, where they do not include plans for college. So special education students. In most cases, if they do not have a transition plan that specifies if they are going to college or not, they would be eligible for Tier 1. However, some transition plans do specify they may be going into another program or doing an apprenticeship. And if that is the case, we do not want to include them in the direct admissions program. All other students that you, after your review, that you believe that direct admissions might not be appropriate for the student. And then international students. International students have additional requirements for enrolling in a post-secondary institution in a college or university. And so unfortunately, they are not eligible for the direct admissions program. Next slide, please. All right, so the next step is to calculate the unweighted cumulative GPA. So whatever your current method of finding the unweighted cumulative GPA on a 4.0 scale is in your system, you'll use that method and export it to Excel. You want to look at grades 9 through the end of their junior year. If you have trouble finding these reports, please reach out to us. We do have several participants in the program that have been participating for years that have been utilizing the same SIS systems as you have, and we have resources to help you get through printing those reports. You do want to also include students that have no pass grades. If a student has a pass, that is a 2.0 or a C. And if it's a no pass, it's a 0 or an F. And we do want to include or exclude course retakes. Finally, and this has happened on very rare occasions, only 2 occasions in the entire time we've been running the program, if you are completely unable to calculate an unweighted GPA, cumulative GPA in your SIS system, we do have a method for pulling that data from the Minnesota Common Course catalog. If this is the case, you need to find out who at your school creates and accesses this data and have that person reach out to us as soon as possible. All right, next slide, please. This is a resource for you. If you do have a system that gives you straight letter grades and you need to calculate an average, this is the standard that we have created for points for a letter grade. So this is, next slide. All right, step 4 is to calculate or assess the course area grade average for students in the Tier 4 and Tier 6, and that's students with GPAs of 2.75 to 3.0 and students with a GPA of 3.5 plus. All right, so for these students, you're going to look at the unweighted grades for only 9th and 10th and 11th grades. And you're going to, usually a visual review is sufficient. You're going to assess if they have a C or higher average. We have a spreadsheet that will help calculate this. We'll go on to the next slide because this just basically says everything I already said. All right, so here is an example of the spreadsheet. It is long, so I did my best to fit it on the slide here. But using those unweighted GPAs, you are going to enter in the student information on the spreadsheet we share, and we'll send that out with a copy of this presentation. You'll answer yes or no to a few questions. Question 1, 2, and 3. You'll have an opportunity to enter any notes. And then you're going to answer yes or no to that visual review if the student has a C average or higher. This spreadsheet will then auto-calculate the tier to assign the student. Next step, please. All right, so that leads us right into step 5, assigning that academic tier. Again, here's the list of the tiers. That spreadsheet will automatically assign the student to a tier corresponding to this table here. Next slide. All right, that is all you need to do to conduct the academic review. We're not going to go on to the next steps in detail on how to send the surveys, just because that can't go out until the FERPA notification has gone out. We'll do that in late summer. However, this sheet, you want to save it. This academic review is your master list of surveys to send. There's no need to share it with us. You can ask us for help with it at any time, but this is your master document for sending out the surveys. So you're going to want to keep that. Once the colleges have been finalized and the letter has been finalized, you will receive a unique link to your school's own Google Drive that will have copies of all surveys and the corresponding response collection spreadsheets. I manage these, and so you won't need to do anything fancy in them other than paste in some student information. Next slide, please. And like I said, you're just going to paste in the student information into the student response sheet here as shown, and we'll go over that in a lot more detail in, excuse me, late summer. But this is what it looks like, and all you do is paste the information from that auto calculation spreadsheet that we're going to send out right into your Google Sheets response, and that is all you do to populate the list. Next slide. And what ends up happening is all your work ends up accumulating into this file here. This is a sample of what the final file that would come to us will look like. It'll have the name of your high school. Here we just used Aitken because it was at the top of our list. It will have some high school information, the students' information, their tier, their unweighted GPA, the email they choose to share with the colleges, and their college selections. Next slide. So there are some things that you need to know and you need to assess prior to running your academic review. What are those things? Well, one, does your school use your SIS system to determine on track for graduation, or do you do this manually? If you do it manually, you may need to wait till that process is done before you even start your academic review. Can your SIS calculate what we call the direct admissions GPA? And that is just an unweighted cumulative GPA from 9th to 11th grade. And does or can your SIS system store this GPA? Can your SIS system export it into an Excel file or a Google Sheet or a comma-separated value file for your review? And can your SIS system generate a file with the required information on the students? Their student name, MARS number, their academic tier, GPA, birth date, etc. Next slide, please.
Awesome. Thanks, Sally.
Absolutely.
So, folks, as we've said, this is a true partnership, a collaboration, and just wanted to reiterate several of those resources that you have at your disposal, including many that we've already covered, the Office of Higher Education's agency website, which has a direct admission sub-landing page and also tons of useful college access and financial aid information. Our electronically maintained toolkits that we use to support the program, those print materials, and then a number of wonderful folks at the agency who help with supporting the program, including Sally and myself, but also our colleagues, Sarah Burkhart in the marketing department, and Dr. Wendy Robinson, our assistant commissioner, who leads the program and oversees its expansion across the state, along with all of us. There are several advisory groups that help the program get to its best possible instance, those drop-in hours, meetings, and other means of connecting that work best for you. And then our trainings, which we post those to the YouTube channel after they've been made available. We will also have, starting in the fall, just-in-time trainings at the outset of each month where you'll have opportunity to connect with your colleagues and fellow practitioners in the program, to learn from one another, and also to be in. So we thank you again for all that you do for students and families. We appreciate your commitment to this program and to the broader initiative of direct admissions. Our contact information is available for you on this slide. And again, we'd encourage you to reach out if you have any questions, ideas for the program, or just need any help with its implementation as you participate in it at your local high schools. Thank you again for all that you do.